Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Scary But Not That Scary. On tonight's podcast, we are going to talk about all of the top 10 movies that we have seen over 2024 and some of the movies that we haven't seen over 2024, basically because I've seen some and he hasn't, and he has seen some and I have not. So this should be quite interesting.
Christmas horror movies.
Yes.
That's what we said at the end of the last podcast.
Oh.
So, never mind that.
Yeah, cancel that part of it. We're going to do some other movies instead. So thanks for tuning in. Here we go. So, we're going to talk about all of these movies that you can't even see right now. We got them all flipped backwards, so you have no idea what you're about to see. You have no idea what we picked for 2024. We don't even know. I mean, I printed them, but Adam doesn't know.
So these are not in any order yet. We're going to go through why we picked these 10 tapes. And then when we get through the end, then we're going to do a little shuffle and try to get them in our top 10 order for the year. So, Joe, I'm going to flip the first one.
Flip the first one. What is it?
First, we have Dune Part 2.
Dune 2? Did you see Dune 2?
I really liked Dune, and then when we saw this one, it was Dune 2. I said this in the newsletter. I think my favorite experience in the theater this year was that point when he wrangles that sandworm. Because it shook the entire theater like we were all going to die, and it was amazing.
Yeah, and they did it, well, I mean, they mostly did it practically, where they built a giant set for him to actually ride on.
We talked about that before, that behind-the-scenes thing where they're like, how do we make it seem like sand's hitting the camera? I don't know, you want to blow a bunch of sand at the camera?
Yeah.
All right.
What's the second tape?
You want to go this way, or you want to get the last 5?
I'll get the last 5.
All right.
I think that'll work perfectly.
Tape number 2 is A Real Pain, starring Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin.
Who directed that movie?
I did not see this movie, Joe.
So, A Real Pain was not a real... I mean, it was really good. I saw it, and it made me extremely sad, but it was really well done. It just felt like you were watching people go on this, like, vacation, essentially. They were going on a vacation, but they were basically trying to figure out their grandmother's kind of experience, what she went through in the concentration camps, and it gets really heavy, but them two are just their chemistry is so good together. It's great.
Yeah, I'm surprised I didn't ever end up seeing this yet, because from that first trailer, it was just, as soon as I saw that it was those two in it, it was like, okay, guaranteed winner. So
I think it's because we're not used to having independent films that are around here at all.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, tape number 3. Wicked.
Oh, no.
It's the movie Wicked. I'm not just saying the tape is wicked.
It's wicked awesome.
This is Wicked. So, speaking of movies that one of us didn't see, you did not see Wicked.
I did not see Wicked. I've never seen the play, or I've seen Wizard of Oz, but
I have a wife and child, so I have seen Wicked.
Yes.
It's good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a spectacle like you would want it to be. It follows the plot of the musical. It adds some stuff to it without being completely different.
Do both of the ladies sing in it?
Yeah. Yeah, and they're both very good.
Is this lady in the show Sandman? She looks similar. I don't know. Or is that it might be the same actress. I was going to look it up, and I never
Awkward
did.
Neil Gaiman reference.
Oh, no.
Not the week for that.
No.
All right. Yeah, I'll say this movie starts off feeling a lot like a movie of a musical, like hitting all the notes to tee up the songs and whatever else. And then about halfway through this half, it feels like a movie for a real long stretch. And then to the point where, like, by the time they sing the last couple of songs, you're like, oh yeah, this is a musical. It's actually good.
Should I actually watch it?
Wait for the second one, and then we'll make a big deal out of watching them all
There's
together.
2?
Yeah, that was the first half.
Oh no. I'm gonna watch 2 of them. What's the next movie?
The next movie is On a Broken Tape.
don't worry about that. This
Oddity.
Don't worry about that. This tape is broken.
We both saw Oddity.
That, I think, I mean, I know we haven't gone through our complete list yet, but like that's for me, I think already, like that was the surprise hidden gem of 2024, which we've already talked about.
We'll debate that in a minute, but
okay, touche.
Yeah,
but if you haven't seen it, I would caveat it with seeing Caveat first, and then see Oddity. It's pretty good. Pretty good.
Byron, do you want to weigh in on this not being as frightening as we led you to believe?
It's like 6 out of 10.
All right.
What's the next tape?
Adam, this is the last one.
This is the last one for you.
Better savor it. I'm gonna rotate it back real slow. Turn it back. Look at it like this. The Substance.
Oh man, he got The Substance.
The Substance. We both. I don't know if "saw" is the word that I would use for this movie.
Like
we
the
both
movie Saw.
Experienced this.
Yeah, you're right. Experiencing this movie is what you do.
It is over the top from beginning to end.
Yes.
I think what I like about it is while we were watching it, I was completely aware that whether or not it stuck the landing at a certain point, I was like, this has now done enough and been crazy enough that this will be a cult film forever on the level of like
Requiem for a Dream.
Society, or just like stuff completely over the top.
Yeah.
It's got the body horror elements or whatever, but just like from like a third of the way through,
a different kind of body horror though. It's more of a Cronenberg kind of body horror, and not like a torture porn of Saw or like Hostel or anything like that.
Yeah, and then it's
very creative.
So just that thought of being in the theater and like, this will forever be a cult movie, and I'm watching it right now. The weekend it released in a theater was just cool.
That's funny because
by the end it just goes completely bonkers.
I did not think about it that way, but when I was watching it, I definitely was having that feeling of like, I haven't seen this before, and I am digging it.
I also love the way that so many things in the movie are off-putting, and you can just feel it pressing your buttons. But like we talked about with Terrifier 3, not just a way that like, it's not just like kicking the seat to annoy you. It's like, it's got the story with it that's, you're like going along for that ride.
I love that.
So
you have great references.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah. Terrifier 3 kicks the seat. The Substance
pushes your ass.
Pushes your buttons.
All right.
I wonder what the next tape. Oh wait, drum
roll.
Smile 2.
Smile 2. I thought it was going to be Speed 2, which would have been weird because that didn't come out this year.
Did you see Smile 2?
I did see Smile 2.
Yeah, neither one of us saw this in the theater, but we both watched it separately, which I think was a good idea because usually when Adam and I watch things together, we just make fun of it the whole time. And maybe
that's why we enjoyed Oddity more than Byron did. Byron was like, it wasn't hilarious at all.
Yeah, I think it was a great follow-up to Smile. I was kind of shocked that they made it so close to the first movie, and that it even called for a second movie, because, I mean...
Well, I thought
the first one was just done.
That's my only problem with it, is that it basically retells the first movie with a bit bigger budget. And what I liked about the first one was that it actually told the story without needing the budget.
Yeah.
So from one perspective, it felt like maybe this one wasn't needed, but also this one was entertaining in the same way that the first one was, because I like the premise of it. So spoilers, in both of these movies, the protagonist kind of loses their mind and becomes like an unreliable narrator in a way where you don't know what's actually happening in the film and what is them kind of losing it.
That's what I was a little bit irritated by, because also
My favorite part.
Also, spoiler alert, which is that, like, as it's going on, there's just this constant, like, flashing, and you're just like, is this actually happening or is it not happening? And it just, if you linger on that, it'll drive you insane. If you just let it happen, it's totally great.
Yeah, but I love that feeling of getting to the end and you're like, did she go insane or did I go insane?
Right.
Was this a regular movie and my brain broke?
Also, that, I don't know who she is. But she was so good.
Yeah.
Like, I thought she was extremely good.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's even actually a singer or not.
This one does the same thing that the first one did, where it shows you the monster at the end, but just long enough for you to go, what the hell am I looking at?
Yeah.
And it's gone, and you don't know.
Yeah, it's great. I was shockingly happy to see that movie.
Yes, I would put that in our top 10.
Good
Moving
thing.
on.
Good thing.
Tape number 7?
Oh, Alien Romulus, you say?
Oh, Alien Romulus. I remember this one.
What did you think of Alien Romulus?
I thought it was an Alien movie, which really entertained me because we've been told a couple of other movies were Alien movies and they weren't. So this one felt like it got back to being an Alien movie.
Yeah.
And also, I would have to put this in my personal top 10 for the year, regardless of what it does with the story or anything else, just because so many practical effects in it.
Right. Yeah.
Got that one stupid Ian Holm decision, but other than that, like...
So I learned recently that for the home release, I don't know if they did it on streaming, but apparently they fixed...
They did on streaming, because I remember watching it on streaming and thinking...
Rebecca and I just
why did we think this looked worse than this in the theater? And the answer is it did.
Yes. Oddly enough, though, it's the first shot of him that looks terrible still.
Yeah.
And it takes you out of it. And then you're just... As soon as you're looking at him and he's talking, you're just like...
Well, and what's bizarre
what is happening? Why does he look like this? You literally could have picked anybody else.
What's bizarre about it is most of the time that you get an uncanny valley effect, it's because the facial features aren't moving enough. If that was the problem here, it would sell the effect that he is a defective android.
Right.
Instead, it's moving enough, but not in the right ways, where your brain keeps going, that's not a real thing.
Right.
That's a CG effect.
Out of anything that they've done with practical, that should have been the practical thing. They should have made a practical robot that looked just like him if that's what they were trying to accomplish.
Or, I know this is a crazy idea, hear me out. It doesn't have to look like him.
That's true. Or sound like him.
Because it doesn't even tie in story-wise.
Nope.
Even if in the script it's like, well, he looks the same because it's the same model number. Change the fucking model number. Nobody cares.
Right.
Have it be some other android.
Also, the fact that I liked Andy.
Andy!
Out of all of the characters, because of all of his dad jokes and stuff.
Well, and I like that scene whenever he reboots. That's a good example of where that looked real stupid in the trailer. Because it looks like he just looks up and his eyes roll back and you're like, what is happening? You're like, is he enjoying or really not enjoying an experience with an alien? And then you watch the movie and you're like, oh, his eyes are rolling back so you can read the barcode because he's an android.
Well, and that they actually clipped it so that he's literally not moving. It's not like a person standing still.
Yes.
Like, it's like they like
freeze
framed him. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, he's just like solid, because that's... Anyway. It was really good.
And then there were also parts that sucked. But there weren't enough of them to ruin it.
Well...
So...
Sorry to keep going on this, but like after watching the behind the scenes, that guy at the end, the alien at the end, is a real guy. And it's so weird to watch it now, because you're like, that's an actual person that just has kind of some makeup on, and you're like,
They added the tail.
I watched a behind the scenes thing. The tail is actually another guy just hanging on to him.
I get it, because it's behind the scenes. I don't get it.
Moving on.
Oh yeah, Deadpool versus Wolverine. This was
Deadpool versus the Wolverine.
Deadpool versus the Wolverine, aka it wasn't versus, it was friendship all the way.
Well, you know, other than that
Yeah.
45 minutes of the movie where they murder each other.
Well, that's also true. But they can't die. So there was a part of it that
That's if they
I
murder each
actually... There was part of it where you're like, why are you doing this? You know that neither one of you can die.
Mm-hmm.
So what?
Yeah.
You're just having a good time at this point. It would be like you and I just stabbing each other right here, just over and over again, and being like, ah, ha, ha, ha. neither one of us are going to die.
I mean, it's what we said before, which is if you've seen a Deadpool movie and you think, what would this be like with Wolverine in it? That's what that is.
That's true. It is.
I don't know if I will see it a second time. It will be until I have forgotten all the jokes. I know that much because I think if the humor wasn't landing, that would feel very much by the numbers of what you expect with those two.
I think I enjoyed all of their the press releasing and all the interviews, and they hosted Jimmy Kimmel. Like, I think I enjoyed all of their friendship in real life more than I did what happened in the movie because it's so genuine that them two are just like so happy with each other, and I'm just like, oh, it's so nice to actually see like that real experience of people like caring about each other, and even though they're both making trillions of dollars or whatever. So
yeah,
I don't know. Recommend.
Number 9.
Number 9. Oh shoot! Dang.
Betelgeuse.
Brutalgeist.
Let's see if we can go this entire episode with never saying the name properly.
Brumble jumps.
We're off to a good start.
Beetle jumps.
Brimdum jumps.
Bamble jumps.
Bobble jumps. Billy.
So anyway,
bubblegum
bubblegum.
bonkers. What did you think of this?
It felt like the first time in a long time that Tim Burton actually cared about the thing he was making. That entertained me a lot. I was surprised by how much it still felt like Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Like you feel like maybe Michael Keaton wouldn't be able to play it exactly the same. He plays it exactly the same.
He plays it exactly the same, and in fact, even though he's much older, like I feel like he was having more fun than maybe when he first did it.
Yeah.
Just because I think he was just excited to be doing that character again.
Yeah.
And he had more than, what was it, like 16 minutes in the movie in the first one?
It was appropriately weird.
Yeah.
It was really what I expected it to be. And it sounds weird because I know I said the same thing about Deadpool and Wolverine, but I'll say I like Beetlejuice more than I like Deadpool movies. So even though I like Take Two, I like Bambi Juice movies more than I like Deadpool. But yeah, it felt very familiar.
Yeah.
Which I was afraid that it was going to be like
a
terrible approximation. And instead it just felt like I felt like the script was also the way that they fast forwarded everything, and it wasn't like, here's a sequel that should have been made 2 decades ago.
Yeah.
It was like, no, it's actually been this amount of time in this world. And it all seemed like stuff that would have followed on from the original movie. So,
I think it's probably, I agree with all of that. This is another movie that I wish I could get my hands on and just edit certain things.
Yeah.
I feel like they tried to cram in at least 3 movies into one movie because of all of the different plot devices and whatnot throughout. And I'm just like, can we just...
I don't know if it's him or if he started working with somebody different, but yeah, Burton has definitely had an issue with editing for a couple of decades now. Anyway, yeah, all right, so...
Brimdum Juice was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
I wonder what this last one is.
Oh, no, the last one. Hold on, wait. Can I remember? This one is...
You're not supposed to know.
Well, we came up with the list. We just didn't know the order, and we don't know the top 10 order. I have no idea what this is. Okay, wait.
Furiosa!
Oh, yes, Furiosa. How could I forget Furiosa?
Mad Max, Furiosa. This movie was phenomenal in the theater.
Yes.
And then I watched it again, and I wasn't as excited about it, but I still think that it's still really, 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 really cool. Adam loves this movie. I
do.
think I still love Mad Max Fury Road much better, just because it seemed like it just straight up had less money, so they were a lot more thrifty.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this is, again, I mean, I've said this a bunch. I've said this on podcasts before. Like, it's the Kill Bill Volume 2 for Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah.
So in that way, I have a hard time. Reason why I couldn't remember it, and the reason why I didn't remember it when we were trying to come up with this list, is because I have a hard time separating it from Fury Road, because it just feels like one long movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it just added more to that. So I like a couple things about it a lot. The first is that you actually go to Bullet Town, or Bullet Farm and Gas Town, which those were always just kind of off in the distance in Fury Road. So it's cool to visit those and see them.
I like it whenever they were there, and then like all the people like started.
And then doing
Jumping
the
on
art direction thing of like Gas Town is an oil refinery, and it has a moat of oil around it. Because they have all the oil and they don't care. So just some of that stuff is just a little obvious, but it's just like, yeah, artists participated in this. Cool. And then the other thing is, of course, that Hemsworth performance, because he's just
Helmsworth.
Absolutely batshit.
Hemsworth.
Berenstain Bears.
I like that he wore I like that he doesn't look like himself. And I think that actually helped him a lot in just acting.
Yeah.
Completely different.
Yeah.
I think that I probably would have never guessed that it was even him, and if I was never told, because he just doesn't look anything like himself or act anything like himself. And
so you watched it again at home and said that you thought the special effects weren't as good and it lost a little bit versus in the theater.
Yeah.
When I watched it at home, what I thought is, dear God, I can't believe they released this to theaters. Because there's so much weird shit in that movie.
Oh.
Like, just outlandishly weird.
So, Adam.
Yes.
Out of all the movies in 2024, I feel like this is a pretty good top 10.
It is.
If we're starting from number 1 to number 10, what
this is not how I would rank
I would
these.
Not. No.
All right, I'm going to make a move here.
Okay.
And then I want to know how you react to it. Of these 10, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do us a favor. All right. Apologies if this bothers anyone.
You don't have to apologize.
I'm going to take this. Wicked. I'm going to put Wicked down here in the number 10 spot.
I'm okay with that.
Not necessarily because it's the 10th worst of these movies, but because,
it's just it's not your thing. It's
for
not
us. It would be weird.
You know what? It's not even that scary.
It would be weird to not include it because it's a cultural phenomenon, but
touche.
That'd be like last year if we did a top 10 and we didn't put Barbie up there, which, by the way, is a great movie. And it's way better than Wicked.
You're not. I can't say that you're not wrong because I haven't seen this, but I did like Barbie. It was very good.
Yeah. All right.
Does that mean it's my turn?
It is your turn. What do you think? What should go? And I'm not saying we should go 10, 9 on down.
I feel like we should.
So, okay. What do you think then?
It'll make it very hard if we do it that way, which is great.
That's fair. But I think I know what my 9 would be.
Really?
It was almost my 10.
Okay. I would say my number 9 would have to be Breed'em Ropes.
Our first argument.
Okay.
I don't disagree with it being towards that half of this.
How about you just put what's your number 8?
I would say I enjoyed Beetlejuice more than I enjoyed Alien Romulus or Beetlejuice. I don't know which one of those. I was kind of right in the same area.
Well, then.
I was going to move this to 9, but since you took 9, I'll go to 8 with this.
Okay. I'm not upset about that.
That was, if you couldn't see, that was Deadpool and Wolverine.
I can see right here.
Because
Right
it's,
here.
I don't know, just predictable. And also, you know, I've got that horrifying Marvel fatigue.
That is also,
I'm going to start calling it
that's
fatigue.
also true. Yeah. I get
Because
it.
there is part of it where whenever they weren't cracking jokes, and even though it was the two of them, when they started doing some stuff, I was like, this is turning into a Marvel movie.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
I'm on to number 7.
Here, I'm going to make this switch. Oh, look at that. Now we can tell where we are. Hey. All right. Number 7.
Is this number 7?
Number 7. What's going to be slotted there?
Oh my god, dude.
I'm going to pause you for a second and say I am willing to rank A Real Pain pretty high because based on what you've said and what I've heard elsewhere, I understand that just because I haven't seen it doesn't mean we should drop it down.
Right. I am going to go ahead and upset you.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I disagree, sir.
Okay.
I think Furiosa is better than Romulus.
Oh, all right. Well,
but I'm
go
going to
for
go
it.
ahead. I'm going to go ahead and do this.
Okay.
And now I've realized that we've made a mistake, but continue.
So is it my turn?
It is your turn.
What is this, number 5? No, number
5. We're into the top 5.
Top 5. Wow.
Top
Well,
5.
then, yeah, this has got to go here.
Yeah.
It's broken.
Yeah. See, and that's what I'm saying. I don't know if I agree with Oddity being as high as it's already ended up. You think it's top 4?
You can move. You can make a move.
You think it's top 4?
You can make any move you want. That's the glory of having our own podcast.
I'm not gonna upset your order over here, but I'm gonna do this.
Okay.
Do this?
All right.
I think in a couple years' time, I'm going to remember Furiosa more than I remember Oddity.
Yeah.
But actually, that's probably not true, because Furiosa, I'm going to be like, I'll just watch Fury Road. And Oddity, I'll be like, I'll just watch Caveat.
Yeah. All right.
Going to the end. We got a top 8 now.
I'm going to shift again.
All right.
And I am doing this based off of the fact that
What are you doing?
I really enjoy
What are you doing?
I really enjoy the Dune series. But as far as Dune 2 being better than this movie,
yeah,
and those two,
I'll give you that. But I'm going to do this. I'm going to go. Smile 2 over here.
Okay.
Over here. How you feel about that?
I am on board with that.
But did I just do this on purpose?
I mean, that's just what it's going to have to be.
This.
I mean, that's just how it is, because I can't not be that.
This, okay. I'm going to go ahead and slide them to the left when they're locked in. Substance? Absolutely yes.
Yeah.
I think we knew this coming in.
Yeah.
That this was going to be there. I think we both looked at that list and we were like,
so good.
We got to figure out the other 9.
It's so good. It is. That movie actually is scary.
I said this a minute ago whenever we were talking about Furiosa, and I said, this is a movie we're watching in the theater. It's so weird. This movie we watched in a theater. And it is not a watch in a theater with a group of people kind of movie.
Right. And everybody was very respectful in the movie. Like, people weren't freaking out. People weren't laughing. Like, everybody in the theater was like super enthralled and like watching it and like excited about it. And
yeah, it's there was an audible gasp at one point where somebody else gasped and you chuckled and went, oh God,
I can't help
something that was happening because it was so over the top.
I can't help it.
And I remember sitting there just thinking, yeah, those are appropriate responses to what's on the screen right now. Because there are some dear God moments in that film. We've debated this a few times about whether or not it is too over the top and too much of like a blunt force instrument where they're just bashing you over the head with the premise. I took that as very intentional because the whole thing is like a primal scream, like raging against this concept.
I have changed my thought on it, and I agree with you now because after you said that, and everybody else has kind of said that, I kind of have accepted it to where I'm like, okay,
I feel like
I get that it was supposed to be that hard.
I feel
beating
like
you over the head with it.
in Act 1 and 2, this is a 10 out of 10 movie. I feel like in Act 3, it's like an 8 out of 10. But the only reason why it stops being quite as good is because it's too aggravated and filled with rage to be more coherent. It just turns out being like, I don't even give a shit. Just, it's this, and then it gets more intense, and then more intense, and then at some point it stops.
Yeah.
Because it is off the deep end.
So do you think that this is a...
right.
Do you think that this is a... I feel like this is a reasonable...
Everything I've heard about this movie, I mean, it makes me just want to go watch it immediately.
You should.
And I have a feeling that I would be arguing for this to be up here if I had seen it.
Yeah. I mean...
Which I know is weird, but it just, you know...
Yeah, you need to watch it by yourself. It's very,
you know
very
it when
good.
you see it.
Yeah. And like I said, didn't it holds its own, but for some reason, like, it kind of just... This was supposed to happen. Like, this was just a part of what is happening, and it's just as good as the first one, and it's setting up for it to be one of the maybe one of the top 10 trilogies of all time.
It won't be number one.
It will not be number one.
See previous podcast.
But I think it's going to be up there. Once it's done and you watch all of it together.
I'll say this, that whenever we went to see this, before we saw it, I rewatched the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, why didn't I think this was like better? Like, what did I not like about the movie? And what I don't like about it is that it doesn't break at like a cliffhanger or at a good point to break.
Yeah.
It just kind of, it's like they filmed them both together.
Right.
And then they were like, what's exactly half the runtime? Just stop it right there. So the first one isn't like, it's not, there's no payoff. It's not like at the end, you're just like, yeah, okay, but where's the rest of it? And then when we watch this one, it's like, oh, this is like a 5-hour movie or whatever. And it is amazing.
Yeah.
So I felt like this one really helped. Like, it paid off for the first movie as well. So I feel like this is kind of standing here for both Dunes, not just Dune 2.
I agree. Yes, exactly.
So I don't think it should be higher than either one of these two.
I would just, side note, I'm upset that they decided all of a sudden for randomness that they did a TV show. I haven't watched the TV show, but I feel like maybe you could have just waited a couple of years after the third one came out so that you could have a show that I could enjoy, because I miss watching the 3 movies and I wish that world building, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like you're going to say something else. I haven't watched it.
Well, the problem is that the books are absolutely insane.
Yes.
Like this movie, parts 1 and 2 are just the first book, but then the second book goes somewhere else. And then they don't come back until the end of the Paul Atreides story until later. And then it's like not continuity off of that one. So
right.
I'm interested to see where they go with the third one. And if it ends up being a trilogy per se, or if it's just like, here's another Dune movie.
Percy
Jackson and the Lightning Thief. Smile 2. Is that too high for that? We've got to rank 4 overall.
I am fine with this. I would rather watch this again than watch Romulus again or this. I would actually even almost move Oddity, but I'm fine with this. I think this is great.
Rest of it's fine.
Yeah.
I might do Beetlejuice above Wolverine though.
You can.
I'm really going to forget that Wolverine movie.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, that statement makes this accurate.
I think next year when we do a top 10, we'll see where Wicked Part 2 ends up, because I'm wondering if it's going to do one of these things. And it's going to be like, oh, well, now that we've seen the full movie, it actually does pay off and it's good. And isn't just a movie of the musical.
So that is Adam and I's top 10.
I just had an idea. Byron, do you want to come give your top 10?
Could I?
Oh, it's
Byron, you want to?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Yeah. Well, okay. First question: are there any of these you would take out of your top 10, or something else you would replace here?
I haven't seen some of these, so I'm going to take some of the ones off I haven't seen.
Yep.
Take them off.
Oh,
So these guys,
oh.
so this is this is based on just my own personal preference
Mm-hmm.
and based on my rewatchability factor, right? The films that I could just pop in anytime and watch.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it once, I don't need to see it again. Oddity was fine.
Yep.
This we're going to hold on for later. Dune 2, it's long.
Uh-huh.
And it's not bad, but you see it once, you're like, I get it. You're done with it.
It's intentionally what it is, and what it is not quick or built to be rewatchable.
And I did not think the action was as good as it could have been. I thought some of the action was well shot, but I don't necessarily think that it grabbed me, like you were saying with the sandworm. I didn't see it. I think I saw it in IMAX, but I didn't see it in Dolby, so it didn't shake as much. So I think that kind of feeling would have probably popped more with Dolby.
Yeah.
I'm going to put the Real Pain over here.
Mm-hmm.
Right now we have Oddity, Dune, Real Pain, Romulus, Substance, absolutely, and Furiosa way ahead.
What?
For one reason, and one main reason was for the war rig sequence that happens about halfway through.
Yep.
Is probably, arguably, the best and most well shot and well choreographed action sequence of all time.
You would put that over the war rig scene in the first one that ends with like the pole cats and the big explosion.
I would.
behind
That's
it?
my argument.
I would. I think that was still. I mean, they're neck and neck. But I think for keeping the pace going and having that escalation going, Furiosa wins out.
I'm going to go ahead and say this now that we've talked about the fact that those two scenes are in these two movies. Embarrassment of riches in these two films. Whenever they first pop those parachutes and it pulls them up off the bikes, but also that's the only scene of that in the movie. It's not like this movie is just trying to like redo that same scene from Mad Max, or from Fury Road. Mm-hmm. The fact that they added in that element of them, the verticality of it, made it different, yet a throwback to Fury Road. Didn't feel like it was trying to compete with it because it's a little bit different. And it just felt like it added more to it.
It added more character development to Furiosa as well. Remember the first film of Fury Road, it was a chase sequence. The whole film was just a chase sequence, very simple. Not a lot of character-driven stuff. There was some stuff you inferred, but not a lot on the page. In this, it was the first time we really saw Furiosa taking agency and taking control of the situation. As you know, as a imperator, she became more of a war person. And then that immediately established her relationship with Port and Jack. Priorton.
Yes.
Jack.
Yes.
Whatever the fuck his name is.
Yes.
It immediately synced their relationship, and they were on the same level, like kind of communicating as warriors. Beautiful sequence that really elevated the film for me.
Now, you want me to blow your mind about the action sequences in Fury Road? Those are all cars, but those are traditional vehicle-based action sequences of all different types. They get forced through that canyon. They line up. It's a train sequence. They're out in there with the polecat thing, and they're like firing on one another. It is a ships at sea sequence.
You're right. Yeah.
It's like there's
exactly
multiple different like vehicular-based combat modes that they go through in that movie.
They even had motorcycles. Yeah.
Yeah, but it just, I wonder what you would equate that to, because that part, they are just driving through, but the motorcycles are so vertical, it's like they're being attacked by, you know what it is? That's like a U-boat, like World War II sequence, where they're being attacked from the air.
Yeah, you're right.
And they're just like firing the guns at the air and everything.
Depth charges,
as they're like sitting ducks. Well, there you go. I hadn't thought of that one before. Good call. Joe. I'm going to talk for a second about the substance, because we've ranked it real high. Byron ranked it real high. That might imply that this is a movie for everyone. it is not. It is not a movie for everyone.
It is
It
not.
has anything that you could be offended by in a movie. Well, let's say like 8 of the 10 big things you could be offended by happen in this movie, and they happen to a point where they just smash you over the head with them.
Yeah.
So it's like, misogynist at points to a point. It's, the entire point of the movie is her raging against the way women are treated in Hollywood and elsewhere, and beauty standards and whatever else. And just like this general thought of like women are not allowed to age. And it's the duality of like fighting yourself over that, whatever else. But then, so the men are terrible. There are the character in the film that is intentionally sexy. Is that to the point that you want it to stop?
Yes.
And you're like,
very
this
much.
is, please no.
Yeah.
So it's
Maybe I wanna
all
not eat
intentionally
shrimp for a while.
off-putting. Shrimp?
I wanted to not eat shrimp for a while,
Yeah,
which is saying a lot for me because
it's a
he's just cramming it in. It's
Yeah.
just so
yeah.
bleh.
Dennis
Right out of the
Quaid
gate,
is
too. It's like,
Gross.
Dennis Quaid is just
He's
you
great.
get those.
Great.
It's just funny though, because like that's so off-putting, and then you get to the things later and they're off-putting, and you're just like, the whole time you're just like, I don't like any of this. And then when it's over, you're like, I loved it.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah. I mean, it's very effective at being very frustrated with things that are terrible. But yeah, it's a true cult film that's not for everybody, and we got to see it in the theater, and it's my favorite movie of the year.
So, what do you think is in store for 2025?
I have something, and it is going to piss you off.
Oh, good. I can't wait. Wicked 2.
Jurassic World 4.
Oh my god. I should have known better.
Yeah. So there's
God.
that. There's a couple of other sequels. And I totally forget what they are, and we should have done our research.
Is it not Dune 3 coming out? Yeah, it is. It's got to be in 2025.
There's another Avatar movie.
Oh
There's a
god.
couple other things. There's a bunch of things attached to smaller like horror movie directors from the last few years that'll be coming out. So it feels like it's going to be another 2024 of the predictable things are going to come out. Even like that Jurassic World movie, whatever else, it looks like they're probably going to look like this list, where it's like it paid off for what I expected, which was rare for a few years there. It seemed like they were determined to ruin everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed like you couldn't even get a mediocre movie. It was either like, this is like independent and awesome, or this is big budget and we made it terrible. But yeah, so 2025 seems like it'll be kind of the same. We'll have those odds and ends and a couple of hidden gems.
Yeah, I can't wait for all the new Marvel movies and all of the new Star Wars shows. I can't wait for. I don't care about any of this anymore. Give me something give me another substance. Give me something I haven't seen before. Give me another a real plan. I need more of things that I have not heard of or seen or Yeah.
Yeah, or to be like a Smile 2.
Yeah.
Like pick what you're going to do and then lean in and do it well.
Surprise me 2025 with something good.
We're ready.
We're
out
ready.
here. We out here. We don't only like things from the 80s. We did jokingly say at one point that we were going to pull out a top 10, and then we were like, and our favorite movie we saw this year was, once again,
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1.
Terminator 2.
Or Night of the Demons 2.
3 decades running. Favorite movie, still Terminator 2.
The Ring.
Oh, The Ring. Fuck that movie. Yeah.
Anyway, so I feel like that's probably
This was no
pretty
1993,
much,
but it was a decent year.
it was a decent year. You're not wrong.
There's no 1999. That was probably the best ever.
99. Okay.
Probably
well,
1985.
Look for a
would be the
future
best.
podcast. I don't know if it'll be the next one, but we're going to have this debate of what
Ooh,
was
yeah.
the best year
What
for movies.
best year? No, it's 1985.
Well, 85 is a close second, I'd say.
85.
Back to the
Ghostbusters,
Future.
Back to the Future, Die Hard, Predator.
93,
Yeah,
one word,
was 86.
Jurassic Park.
93 was Jurassic Park. Yeah.
I think 93 was also Terminator 2.
Oh, was it?
I don't think so.
Was it the
92.
greatest movie
92.
year ever?
Anyway, stay tuned for next time on Scary But Not That Scary for your next installment of us idiots talking about movies and shit.
Which was the original title of the podcast.
Bye.
Bye.